everybody, welcome back to the Fumble Live. Today's an exciting show because it is just the ladies. Chris is out. We're going to miss him, but we're going to hold down the fort. All right, you guys, so we, like I said before, have a lot to get into today. People are really upset about the NBA bubble meals that they've been given. That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. Steph Curry was on the receiving end of a ton of hate. Before we fill you in on the details, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Now, here are the lovely ladies of the Fumble. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Jackie.
Look, I'm on time and enthusiastic. It's your girl, Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic. No shade, Chris.
Hey,
no shade.
Right. What's up, guys? It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Devin is speaking for herself when she says we will all miss Chris today because I'm perfectly fine without him here.
Oh, that shade. That shade.
Right out in the open. Like, I'm just letting y'all know. Chris.
Oh, my goodness.
You know why I'm not mad that Chris isn't here? Because I found out today was National Video Game Day, and I'm like, that's why Chris isn't here.
Oh, yep.
Really, Chris?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. That's it.
Playing 2K? That's what he's doing all day today?
That's what he's doing.
Just like to keep the spirit of Chris alive. I know you don't miss him, Britt, but here's my impression of Chris.
Oh, God.
It's your
Oh, no. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Like he's like surprised. Like his head always is like, oh, we're filming a show.
Oh, is it me? Is it me?
Oh man. Yeah, we're dragging Chris here. It's okay.
And we got to do the voices. You know, when people talk, we got to make some weird voices every time we imitate somebody on the show.
I'm down. Let's do
so
it.
bad.
Let's do it.
That one to you. I'm going to leave that
Okay.
I don't feel so confident in my voices.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Who's going to take me into Brit's
I got it. I got it. I already thought about it. I got it. I'm like.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm okay. Okay.
We also could add in some of my, we can add in some of my favorite vocals. I know everyone really loves when I sing, so we can also add in a
remix. I'm usually not down for the remix, but since Chris isn't here, let's see if you guys can top him today. I'm down for it.
All right, we got it. We might be taking his job. That's why you got to show up. It might be me and you, Devin.
Right.
It might be.
I'm up for the challenge. All right. So let's get into Need to Know News. We have to talk about how today marks the 10-year anniversary from the decision. So it's been a decade since LeBron James granted 6 NBA teams the chance to venture to Cleveland and explain why he would be the best. He would be best served playing for them. Obviously, he ultimately decided to go to Miami. Rod Thorne, who was the then team president of the Nets, said that all 5 other teams thought that they were in second place, but no one really knows which team was LeBron's runner-up, which I think is funny. Jackie, you are the resident Bron-sexual of the panel here, so I want to know, what do you remember about this? Yeah, you got it. You got your little LeBron bobblehead right there.
I got my yes. Here he is. Hello.
So I want to ask you, what do you remember about this free agency move?
So, more than the actual decision, what I remember is the amount of hate he was getting and how much people were just kind of on his head about what he should and shouldn't do. And like, I remember walking around with LeBron gear on and people were like, oh, he's a traitor. And I'm like, that has always boggled my mind, just regardless. But of course, it bothered me more when people were saying it about LeBron. And now knowing the backstory that it's literally a fan that had that whole idea in the first place, I thought the whole thing was genius because here's a guy who had ESPN come out to his high school, which we hadn't seen that before. And then now he's going to sit live and tell the world what the decision was. I thought the whole thing was brilliant and I thought it was beautiful. I didn't care where he went because, I was going to follow him regardless. But I just didn't like how much hate he got. And I thought it was unwarranted, but I thought the way he handled himself in the midst of that hate was dope. But he's LeBron, so I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
Jackie.
Here, look, I'm going to be real LeBron because we're about to get some more hate right now.
A whole televised thing for the decision on what team you're going to go to next. Like, that you have to be ready for the hate. That hate is going to be warranted because there's going to be so many people that are just like that. I mean, it's petty. What he did was petty. That was like so petty.
How is it petty?
I'm going to do an announcement because I am the king of the world and everybody wants me to be on their team. So I'm going to announce it publicly.
James. It's King James. Kings don't do stuff extra. They do king stuff. It wasn't extra. It was king stuff. So it was what it was.
Ready for the hate though. When you do something like that, like that is warranted hate. You can't say it's not warranted hate. It is very warranted.
I just said it wasn't warranted, and I meant that.
I'm so for all of the free agency and players getting to make their own decisions because they weren't always allowed to do that. So I get that, but I just thought it was just dramatic. It was just such a dramatic moment in sports history that I could have went without. But happy anniversary to the decision.
Yeah, thank you. You could have went without it, but you didn't, because we were all hanging on every moment of that. Everyone, for every second that we didn't know, we wanted to know. That moment was warranted because everyone was salivating at the mouth, like, "What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do?" It was perfect. It was how it was supposed to go.
I didn't care because I didn't have anything in the race. I knew he wasn't coming to my team, so I wasn't really worried about it.
Now you sound that. Look, now she's representing for Chris. Like Chris is like, I don't care. He wasn't playing for the Knicks. I don't care.
I mean, I'm not
skipping haterade, but this is green juice. Okay, everybody, this is not haterade. I'm not being a hater. I just don't care. I thought it was hella extra. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Happen, I'm going to make an announcement too. I'm going to do a decision.
But there's not a king in front of your name, so I don't know if it'll get the same amount of views. Yeah, it's King James.
I'm not surprised that we have two very different opinions here. If anybody's mad at Britt and saying she's sipping the haterade, what were you going to expect? That she was going to sit here and be like, "This is the greatest day ever, LeBron's decision." That's not Brit.
Yes, but I'm going to say me. Yes,
but I'm with you, Jackie. I'm not as heavy of a bronsexual as you are, but I really, really like him. He's my favorite player in the league. So obviously, I feel the same way that you do. But whenever you do anything in a public forum, you're opening yourself up for criticism, just as we do every single day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Fumble. So,
and y'all are good at it. Some of y'all get us. You get us really good. But get us better because we do have the weekend zones and your clapbacks have been really more like snaps. So
we've we've made a social distance.
Dance about you. If you're gonna clap loud.
All right. You guys are very encouraging, strong clap.
Right.
Okay, guys. Well, since we are talking about clapbacks and trolling and negative comments, let's talk about the NBA bubble. So players have arrived to the bubble, and based on photos, it looks like the food is not going to be as luxurious as initial reports made it seem like it was going to be. So Troy Daniels, has something happened to our stream? Oh, no.
Yeah,
okay.
there we go.
There we go. That's crazy.
I was like, we gone. Yep. Exactly what that is.
Troy Daniels of the Denver Nuggets took a picture of his dinner and he posted it. So here it is. Now, to me, this looks like what you would get on an airplane. Lots of little individually packaged foods. You've got kind of a weak-looking salad, some watermelon chunks. It does not look that appetizing. I mean, if someone delivered this to me while I was on a flight, flying Southwest, I don't even know if they do meals on Southwest, I'd be like, okay, this is solid. But when you're, I don't know. I can't keep track of which airlines have food and which don't. I don't know. Anyway, I would be happy if I got this meal on an airplane, but when I'm an NBA player, like getting ready to work really hard, putting my health on the line so that I can entertain the masses and win a ring, I would expect something a little bit more. And I think that airplane food is not the standard that we should be judging NBA catering in the bubble. It also just doesn't even seem like it would be enough calories for somebody who's working out as hard as these athletes will be. Plus, they're used to personal chefs. They're used to detailed meal plans, expensive organic groceries. Like, they're probably shopping at Whole Foods every day. So I feel like this whole thing just seems like quite a surprise. And people online had a lot to say about it. One person tweeted, NBA players are risking life and limb to play in this bubble, and they're literally getting fed airplane food. Another asked, is Spirit Airlines catering the NBA bubble?
Oh, no.
Others were joking that this looked like it was the catering that was available at that failed Fire Festival. You all remember that cheese sandwich that made its way around the internet. So Chris Chiozza also shared his dinner. Leo, if you can throw that photo up there for us. He captioned it, "Dinner time and the bubble begins." Now his meal looks a little bit more solid than Troy's did. He's got a piece of chicken, a little like small dollop of mashed potatoes, some pasta, salad, and watermelon that looks like it's been mixed together, which doesn't seem appetizing to me. But basically he also thought it was pretty funny because he put that laughing emoji on there. And so far, the meals that we're seeing in the bubble are just not that strong. Luckily, Mark Stein tweeted that the food in the bubble will change after quarantines are completed. Player meals won't look like airline trays after the first 48 hours, he said. But Donovan Mitchell isn't so confident about that. He tweeted back at him and said, "How you know?" So I'm usually the type of person who feels like you should be grateful for what you're given. But in this case, I totally understand why athletes and everybody else seeing these meals are shocked and surprised and unsatisfied. It doesn't look like the type of thing that NBA players should be eating when they're making the NBA tons of money, they're making Disney World tons of money, they're entertaining millions of people. So I don't know why they're having such weak meals, even if it is for the first 48 hours. They could afford to make something a little better. So Britt, I want to go to you first. I know yesterday we talked about how WNBA players were quarantined in disgusting hotels. So what do you think is with leagues not providing their players with the accommodations and now the meals that they really need or deserve?
I saw a bunch of posts calling Adam Silver a slumlord for this because it is kind of crazy. But to the point of the WNBA, which I was talking a lot about yesterday, I don't feel as bad for the NBA because, like, I don't know. I feel like we're talking about one being horrific conditions and then one being like, oh, I like another piece of bread instead of like whatever. So I'm for to complain after what I saw with the WNBA. It just seems like I don't care. I'm sorry. I just don't. Like, I feel like they at least are staying in hotels without roaches and they get their laundry done still and all this stuff. So like, I feel like it's kind of not to even say like this, but in the perspective of like when people say Black Lives Matter and it's like the All Lives Matter thing, I feel like the NBA players are complaining about something. There's nothing to complain about really. Like, yes, the meals are not perfect, but again, they said it's the first couple days. They have to pre-do meals and have them in individual things because the players aren't allowed to be around even like the room service people. So get over it. It's like 2 days and you guys aren't really practicing right now anyway. Like this is literally a small portion of the teams that arrived yesterday. Like the Clippers arrived today. Lakers don't even arrive till tomorrow. So get over it. It's a couple days. At least you don't have to live the next couple months like the WNBA players do. Like, get over it. I'm sure you guys eat Lunchables every day anyway. So this is not that from some of your meals. But you guys get stressed every now and then. A lot of you guys do still be eating Lunchables and Top Ramen. Trust me, I know.
That's a good point. I mean, I'm sure they aren't having the like fancy, healthy, well-balanced meals for every meal. And yeah, I feel like I'm with you. What the WNBA players are having to go through is much worse than these meals, but I just feel like they could have upped it a little bit more. Jackie, what was your reaction to seeing these bubble meals? And do you think that they actually are going to get better, or is that just like a way to quickly kind of cover up all the negative attention the food is getting so far?
I think it's kind of like what Britt said, like all the teams aren't even there yet. The Lakers won't be there till tomorrow. And so I think that strategically somebody probably was like, we'll just give them this stuff now and we're not going to bring out the good food until everybody's here because, you don't want to spend, have all these meals available for everybody and everybody's not even there yet. But, at the same time, it's one of those things where they probably spend more time at a vending machine anyway than they actually do, eating the food. So it's funny. And I think that's why they're posting it so much. But it's like Britt said, let's post their food next to the worm that was on the floor in the WNBA dorms. And then let's just shut up. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, let me just eat this watermelon and watermelon salad is not a horrible thing. Fun fact. I know Devin said it didn't look good. I actually like watermelon salad. So,
Yeah. Well, they literally said at the Ritz-Carlton, it's supposed to be like this thing, like, ooh, a watermelon salad, or like salads with apples in it are supposed to be like more fancier. Like, at least they made an iceberg salad.
I like watermelon in a salad, but the way that it was in the styrofoam container, it looked like it was supposed to be a side of watermelon and then a salad as two separate things. We ran out of styrofoam containers, so they just combined it. That's the way it looked to me.
Close it, pick it up, you're good.
And then it would be okay. Then it would be okay. I also do want to add that they had one thing on the menu. I saw a picture of a menu. They had like an impossible meat pasta, which actually sounded really good because I'm a big pasta fan. So that's something that I wouldn't complain about. But yeah,
and it's a menu. That's why Daniels wanted to order off the menu. That's have the chicken and the mashed potatoes because he didn't order that. So you can cry all you want, but that's what you ordered. People be mad when they get their plate and looking at other people's food like, oh, I should have had that.
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. Like, ooh.
Daniels is even at the shitty table. Like, he's on the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets are one of the better teams, so they're staying in the nicer hotels. They're not staying in the Motel 6 like some of the crappy teams are. So you're staying in the nice hotel, so you're going to have way better meals options than everybody else. So just be quiet. Just say less. This is a say less moment.
So for the first 48 hours, it's an equal level. It's a level playing field, and then maybe after that, we're going to see the top seeded teams get those better meals that they were promised.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's move on into this next update about the NBA bubble. Wow, I have a bad echo right now. I'm sorry about that, you guys.
You really do.
Sorry. Several big names around the NBA have already chosen the message they want to wear on their jerseys for the league restart. Rudy Gobert is going with equality. CJ McCollum's going with education reform. Matisse Thybulle has selected vote. Jackie, I know you talked about some of the other phrases that were available to athletes. Some include I can't breathe, anti-racist, how many more, and Black Lives Matter. So there were obviously some mixed opinions about the phrases and words that were available for the athletes to choose from. Mike Scott of the Sixers criticized the list, saying it was, quote, terrible. It was a bad list, bad choice. They didn't give players a chance to voice their opinion. So when you discussed this earlier this week and what we're not going to do, Jackie, I was with you when you said that you're for any show of support for the Black Lives Matter movement, but I also wish that players had the freedom to craft their own phrases or choose their own words and at least submit it for review, just so that we're seeing players select right now, like equality and vote and education reform. These are all meaningful, but they seem, I guess, a little weak in comparison to stronger or more personalized phrases. I froze there, so I hope that you could still hear my voice.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So, Jackie, since you already talked about this, I want to ask you, would you like to see athletes have an opportunity to submit their own ideas for review?
Okay, so two things. First, I want to say real quick to Pat K7. He gave us a donation for our EJI campaign of $5. Thank you. I want to say that really quick. And then also, like on my podcast this week, I talked about this. There were several things on the list that I completely hated. First of all, you're freaking me out when you're freezing and unfreezing like that, Devin. It's freaking me out. But and then it's like that she moves again. I'm like, you're freaking me out. But but there are several things on the list that I absolutely hated. Like the "I'm a man" thing, and some of them, an ally, which again, that implies a lot. So there are things that kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of shameful in a way, disrespectful in another. So yeah, I think same thing I said with the NFL. Like, you can't really ask what a group of people feels about. You can't do something on behalf of a group of people if you've never asked them. So we know we have a lot of people in the NBA who are out there on the front lines in the middle of a pandemic, marching and trying to get their voices heard and inspire the people. And yet the NBA came up with a list. So again, we knew they were going to put "I Can't Breathe" on there because that's kind of where this started from, when the NBA players were wearing that. But let's not forget, the NBA kind of took a jab at that real quick, but then they backed off of it. They were at least smart enough to back off of it. But yeah, some of these messages, like, if you're not going to, they're almost like, hey, we know this is a thing. We don't want to make it too much of a thing, so let's make it kind of a thing. Like, either make it a thing or don't do it. I think it's weird to say their name, but then you don't get to put the names on there. You don't want the names of the hundreds of people who have been murdered by police on there. It's very towing the line to me. And I don't think, like I said, personally, I get that raising awareness is a good thing. But for me, either you're all in or you're not. And this list is cool, but it's not what it should be.
Mm-hmm. And I think I would have liked to have seen some of the athletes who have already chosen the words that they want on their jerseys to go with the options that are a little bit more powerful, as opposed to, like, vote and equality obviously are huge and amazing, but it feels like just a word. I think a phrase would have been better. I agree with you 100% that a name of one of the victims would be great. Britt, what are your overall thoughts on these messages? Do you feel like this is effective for the players to do?
So yesterday, Austin Rivers actually posted a long statement about how upset he was over the options that were available, because he wanted Trayvon Martin's name, and he actually was asking the league to look at that and see if that's something that could be possible, because he grew up 20 minutes away from where Trayvon Martin was shot by George Zimmerman. And so, he felt that was like the first one that was like really, really close to his heart. And so that one personally meant the most to him, just because it was right up the street from where he grew up at and stuff like that. So he's like, dang, I could have been walking down the street and that could have happened to me, or like whatever the case is. So he really wants the NBA to allow names. And he just asked the NBA yesterday in this long note to the NBA that he posted on social media about that. The reason why I think the NBA has selected certain things is because of Ja Morant posting that F with his jersey number being 12 on it. And I know he kind of did it as a joke, but I think the NBA thought that, okay, this might get out of hand and there might be stuff that we're going to have to say no to later. And then players are going to get pissed off about it or whatever. So let's just put it like, this is what you can pick and you got to pick out of this. So because Ja Morant posted that before like the NBA decided we're going to get to choose whatever they could choose or not, I think that is why the NBA decided to just give select options. The names could fire in some instances, because then you kind of want to put all the names, and there's not enough players that can be every single person.
Right.
All of those people's lives are just as equally important. And so I think staying away from the names kind of made sense a little bit, because they can't, if you're just going to say one name, you need to say all of their names, because it's that important. And so maybe if LeBron has, somebody's name on the back, and then all the other families are like, dang, like, why did LeBron pick that person? So I get the name thing in a sense, because it could backfire and hurt maybe a lot of people's feelings if they feel like, hello, like my son died from police brutality, or this happened to my daughter or whatever, and their names are not being showcased in this light. So I think that is probably why the name thing wasn't there. I do think the names should be whatever, just like they do NBA championships on banners in the arena. I think all the names should be listed there. Like, that is a way we show everybody's name and make sure that we're including everybody in that in this conversation. So I understand why the NBA did what they did. obviously the players can pick what they want to pick. The list that I saw, most of them did just say equality or vote. So I agree that it would have been better to have for them to even from that list choose a little bit better options. But I mean, if that's what players want to pick, that's what they want to pick. But yeah, most of them that I did see, actually, it was like a list, equality, equality, equality. This player picked this, and like vote, vote, vote. There was like a lot of just those kind of ones. So it'd be interesting to see with some of the bigger ballers like LeBron James or Dame Lillard, people that we've seen out in the streets protesting and stuff too, like what they decide to pick, because theirs hasn't been released yet. So it'd be interesting to see what the bigger name athletes decide to do with their name and their platform.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you're right. They're not going to go with just vote or education reform or whatever. I think they will go with something a little bit stronger, and I think that that's a good thing. Okay, let's get into the final need to know news story. So the NBA shared a video of Steph Curry. He was wearing a face mask, and he was urging people to adhere to coronavirus rules by practicing social distancing and wearing a mask. In the video, he says, quote, "I want to encourage you to continue to practice social distancing, being safe and precautious every step of the way, but most of all, continue to wear a mask. It's extremely important in terms of stopping the spread of this virus, protecting yourself and others." So the video was created by the league as part of their NBA Together campaign, which aims to support, engage, educate, and inspire youth, families, and fans in response to the coronavirus pandemic. So this was put on Facebook, and if you've logged into Facebook recently, you know that people get very political on Facebook and love to use it as a platform to like blast all of their opinions. And the comment section was just like a gold mine of all of these and conspiracy theories. So one guy commented, "Fake news, fake fear, don't trust the CDC." Another said, "They recommend healthy people not wear masks." And then this is my favorite one. This guy wrote, "I wish sports and their stars would stop pushing political agendas on their viewers." So to me, a mask is not a political statement. It's just like a piece of cloth. It's just fabric. I don't understand why this has become a politicized thing. And I also feel that whether or not you believe in the seriousness of this virus, if you think it's fake, if you are really afraid of it and you think it's super real, wearing a mask is just a simple act of human decency, just in case things are as serious as people believe they are. If you're going to protect, someone's grandmother or a child or whoever, and all it takes is you just putting a mask on when you're around other people. To me, I just don't understand why people get so angry about it. But anyway, Steph really infuriated a lot of people on Facebook. It was really funny reading through those comments. So Jackie, I want to go to you. Why do you think people have come down so hard on Steph?
Because I think common sense isn't that common. And I think, unfortunately, when we kind of look at our country and we look at the way things are moving and who we have in office, we're missing it in the intelligence department as a country. And so I just think that people are missing it. To be honest, years and years ago, before this pandemic even hit, I watched this documentary. I think it was on 2020 or something like that. I can't remember. But they talked about, bathrooms and those air blowers that you stick your hands in and you pull your hands out. And they say that they're loaded with fecal matter. Ever since then, I have washed my hands. If there's not paper towels in there, I will I will stand there like a doctor and I will wait till somebody walks in so I can walk out. I am not I am not using it. And so I get that I probably look crazy as hell to whoever's walking in and they're like, "Why don't you just use the hand dryer?" It's like right there. But when you get a little bit of information, sometimes you kind of run with it. So a little bit of information says a couple of things. It says, one, if I'm talking, and maybe if it's airborne now, because we've seen a couple of things now that says it might be, but we don't know for sure. But if there's a chance that just wearing a mask can protect me, even if, why not wear it? My mom always says, everybody's parents always says, better safe than sorry. Like, it's not killing you to wear it. I 100% understand people who are out there working out and not wearing it. Cause like I told you guys, I've been walking now. I can't go more than 10 feet without feeling like I'm going to die with that damn mask on. The second I take the mask off and I'm walking up the hill towards Running Canyon, I'm like, okay, I'm good. But then I'll feel guilty because you get the looks and then you put it back on and you're back to feeling like you're going to die. It's a horrible thing to do while you're working out. So I totally get people who don't want to do that. But at the same time, when I'm walking, I see a lot of elderly people who are out there trying to stay in shape too. I know that they're a demographic that is going to be affected very negatively if they should get it. So I automatically throw my mask back on, not because I want to, but because of concern for that person. So I don't understand why we can't just have concern for each other, concern for ourselves, family and friends, and just exercise some common sense. That, so I think the fact that we don't have a lot of common sense, that's a pandemic we probably need to address, the lack of common sense, because it's definitely a pandemic.
To the point of that, though, with the public, like the public has never been that. Like even drinking and driving, we all know
right.
What to do. It doesn't necessarily hurt you. It could hurt other people. You could kill a whole family of people and you end up being fined from it, but people still don't stop drinking and driving. We have so many things like Uber and Lyft now. Like people have never cared about other people, like period. So I don't even understand why we're getting so upset that people are not wearing masks when they've never cared before anyway. Like there's guys that literally are girls that literally have unprotected sex knowing they have diseases and stuff and they're passing stuff around to people. Like people don't give a shit. Like, and it's like, this is nothing new. The same people that aren't wearing masks are the same people that do all of these other things. Like there's so many things that like could damage other people's lives and you're not just risking yourself, yet people do that all the time. Even texting and driving or Snapchatting, doing a whole video while you're driving, like that is very dangerous, yet people still do that all the time. So I think if we break it down to really in reality, there's so many things that we do on a daily basis that like can damage and kill and hurt other people. But yet people still do that stuff. So now we're telling people to wear masks. No, people aren't going to wear masks because they didn't care before. We told them not to drink and drive, yet they're still drinking and driving. So what do you expect from people? They're shitty. People are
But to get that angry, that's the part that's funny to me. Like Steph says, hey, let's look out for each other, wear a mask. And people are like, oh, why would you say this? Like, how does it spark that kind of anger? That's a little weird to me.
I think that with drinking and driving, it's almost everyone can agree that it's a bad thing. But here, wearing a mask, it's up for debate, that's what's weird to me. Like, it's become something that we argue about, which I'm like, it is literally so easy to just put a mask on. And Jackie, like what were you saying? When you were walking, I go for runs, and if I'm alone with nobody around, I might pull my mask down because there's nobody nearby. But as soon as I have a person within 20 feet of me, my mask is up, and I'm puffing and puffing. I'm wearing it because why not? Like it doesn't harm me. It doesn't negatively affect me so much so that I have to refuse to do it. I don't know. People.
My mom did say something though that I thought was hilarious because I was like, Mom, have you gone out? 'Cause she walks every day too. I'm like, have you gone out and walked? She said, no, I haven't gone out because all these people are walking around here and they're not wearing a mask. And she goes, I go, why do you think that is? She goes, I think it's because their breath stinks and they don't like to smell their breath in the mask.
So everybody, if you're watching, if you have bad breath in your mask, that's a you problem, and you need to start flossing and brushing right.
Yep.
Well, okay. So the last question that I just wanted to ask you, Jackie, do you feel that when trolls attack athletes for speaking out about things as simple as wearing a mask, do you think it discourages players from voicing their opinions, or do you think that they're used to that negative attention now?
I think they're used to it. I think they, KD has a whole burner account set up because he lives for it. Like if there was not trolls, KD wouldn't even know what to do with his life. You know what I mean? So I think that they know what it is, and I don't think they care at all. I think if anything, it fuels their fire. So no, I don't think they care at all.
All right. Well, that wraps up Need to Know News. So we're not going to have a post up today because Chris is out, which means we are going right into what we not gonna do.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, you guys. So did you guys know that here on the Fumble, we are not big fans of Tom Brady? Do you know that that's going to get worse in about 2 seconds? Because here's the thing, guys. Tom Brady is a cheater, and now he's cheating at your expense. Your tax dollars are now helping him cheat. So let me break this down for you. So 45 in Congress, they passed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Basically, it's a $2 trillion relief package, and it's designed to help small businesses that are suffering right now because of the COVID-19, because we know a lot of people are shut down. So Tom Brady has a company called TB12. Now, they have announced that they have enough money to expand to Tampa, Los Angeles, and here in New York. But they also announced that, well, we now know that they have gotten this loan. So Tom Brady signed a 2-year, $50 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But on April 15th, they applied for the Small Business Relief Program. And then 34 days after the lockdown started and 6 days after they announced that they were expanding, they were granted $1 million in that funding. So there's a lot going on there. We know that Tom Brady, first of all, if you've ever filed a government form for anything, it takes way longer than 30 days. So the fact that he got his approved exactly 34 days after he applied for it lets you know that him and his bestie, Mr. Trump, kind of worked that out. So he's getting $1 million in federal funding. It's for paycheck relief. So it's for any employees. It's supposed to be able to help him pay his employees. But the thing is if I made $50 million right now and I owned a small business, and even if I only had like 4 or 5 employees, I'd still be suffering if my business was locked down right now. I wouldn't get this loan. So my question for you, Britt, because I know you feel the way I feel about Mr. Brady. In a time when we see athletes, we really have seen a lot of athletes that are giving of their own money right now to help the little guy because they know the little guy is suffering. What does it look like that Tom Brady, who is a millionaire, and he's not even just from his earnings from football, but from his company, he's a millionaire, like over and over again, he's a millionaire, but now he's also getting a $1 million kickback from the government that taxpayers are paying for. What does that look like?
That looks like America, because that happens literally all the time. That's how these old rich white guys continue to stay rich, because they literally take from the poor over and over and over again. And he is just like they are. Like he's just part of their same system. We all know that Kanye West actually got a chunk of money from that deal too, because it was released all the people who got money from the small business thing. And Kanye West, who got a chunk of that money, is now all of a sudden a billionaire, and he's now all of a sudden running for president. So like, right. I think it makes sense, because that's how it's always happened. It's unfortunate and it's sad and it grosses me out, unfortunately, because you see, even though, you know, we have this issue currently with Drew Brees has donated a good chunk of money to COVID relief and to different kinds of stuff during this time. We just heard about Dwight Howard, like donating the rest of his salary for the bubble time to, you know, social injustice stuff. So it's like, there's so many players out here doing so many great things. And then you have a guy like Tom Brady that just cares about himself and his own personal welfare and being. And that, unfortunately, is the majority of this country. And it's really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like Britt said, Kanye West got some money. Also, Floyd Money. It's in his name, you guys. Floyd Money Mayweather. He has a net worth of like $560 million. However, when you add up all of his earnings and his business ventures, it's like $900 million is what he's actually worth. And if you remember back on IG Live back in April, he told Antonio Brown that he wasn't worried about anything, however long the coronavirus had us in shutdown. He didn't care, because he had so many investments that he was going to be good forever. His kids was going to be good forever, and their kids were going to be good forever. But he also applied and received the paycheck relief thing. But slight difference, not much of a difference, because like I said, $900 million is $900 million, but his company was actually shut down. His promotion company was shut down March 17th and has not reopened, and as of right now has no plans to, because of everything that's going on with the COVID-19. But here's what I had to dig and find an exact number of all the money that has gone out so far. Only 9% of the people who have received it actually qualify for a small business based on revenue and size. Only 9%. That is crazy to me. So Devin, like, similar question. Is this the big company's fault who are getting this money? Is it their fault, or is it the government's fault that they're even allowing this to happen?
Well, okay, first of all, I find this whole thing very frustrating because I have friends who own restaurants and little shops, clinics, different little businesses here in LA, and they really could use money from the SBA. And then you see people like Tom Brady's company or Floyd Mayweather or even Shake Shack. I remember reading that Shake Shack got like $10 million. Why does a fast food chain need all of this extra money? They, of course, returned it, but only because they got caught. So I find the whole thing extremely frustrating. I want to lay most of the blame on the government. I think that they should prioritize businesses that need the money the most, that have been hit the hardest and may not be able to survive the shutdown. But I also think that it's a bad look for people like Kanye or Floyd or Tom Brady to be accepting this kind of cash. Tom Brady and Gisele's net worth is like $600 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Me reading this, it's like, God, you really needed that? Because that really could have helped somebody's like small family business or something. I don't know.
Right.
I just find it frustrating. I think the government should always be looking out for the little guy, but obviously our government does not do that. And I guess I can't blame business owners for applying, but I think that they shouldn't have accepted this money. I think it's a bad look.
Yeah, I think there should be checks and yeah, exactly. But so that's what I'm saying. Lakers did it. We know countless other. The list is long, like I said, and it's only 9% that are actually small businesses. And so there has to be some checks and balances. And it seems like since obviously they know how to classify a small business, so because you've already said it's only 9% that are getting it, then those are the businesses you have to meet certain qualifications to even apply for this loan. So it is all bad. It's a terrible situation, but let's get on to something fun and funny because you guys know that I hate lists. I don't care. Everybody has a list, all time, whatever. Usually those lists are not based on stats. It's based on who they like to watch at the time. My dad's list would be definitely different than my list. And obviously LeBron is on the top of my list, not on the top of Britt's list. But nonetheless, Kenny Smith has a list and he says Kobe is not in his top 10. So I want you guys to take a look at what he said on the Load Management podcast on Complex Sports. Can we roll that, Leo?
Why is LeBron James not in your top 5?
LeBron James is in my top 10.
Okay.
But he's 10, possibly.
Whoa!
Is Shaq in your top 10?
Shaq's in my top 10.
Is Kobe?
No, Kobe's not in my top 10. Kobe's like 11.
Okay. I don't care who else is in his list. He said that, Magic, Larry Bird, most of the people that he named are people from his time period, which again, makes sense to me. That's why I don't care about people's lists. But I need to understand how Shaq is top 10 and Kobe is not. Britt, help me understand.
So, to speak to Kenny Smith's era, centers were the key point of the game during his time. So, I think he appreciates centers more than anybody else. There's teams now like the Houston Rockets that don't even have centers. So, I think that, to his point, during his time, the center was literally the most important position on the court, I think that's why maybe he respects his game more. But it is kind of interesting because Kenny Smith, even though he played during that time, he's a commentator and an analyst now. So it's not like he's not super familiar with players now. So I am surprised at his list, to say the least. But I do understand that he would, just because of his time, value a center more than we personally do in our era.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, Russell Westbrook is on my top 10 and people look at me like, what? I don't care. It's my list. I can have whoever I want on my list. So it's just a thing. All right. So listen, let me get into one more thing here because I actually love this one. I don't know if you guys follow Ochocinco on Instagram, AKA technically Chad Johnson, AKA Ochocinco, but whatever. But this dude, he is like a walking meme of Black Don't Crack. He's 42 years old. He looks amazing. His workouts are stupid. I should probably participate in his workouts more than I watch them, but whatever. But his workouts are off the hook. He has not played down in football since 2011, but look at what he posted on his Twitter. His tweet says, getting ready for workout with the Raiders. And he has the Las Vegas Raider hat on. He ended up tweeting their quarterback and saying, hey, I'm getting ready. He tweeted back and said, cool. And then the Las Vegas Journal was like, hold on, maybe we should verify this. So they reached out to the Raiders, and the Raiders were like, wait, what? No, this isn't true. And then Chad tweets, of course they didn't know. I just informed them I'm showing up to camp on my own. That's pimp right there, because if anybody is going to show up to your camp and make you look stupid, it's going to be Chad Ochocinco, because he's still that good, guys. So I'm just telling you, all the wide receivers for Vegas, he's going to go show up. They're probably going to let him in. And if they do, he's going to make you look bad. Go ahead, Britt.
Yeah. Looking at that picture alone, like that looks like a 25-year-old receiver.
Right.
You wouldn't, unless you knew that was Chad Johnson. He looked ready to go. Like, he's in shape.
Yeah. So I'm telling you guys, those young guys out there in Las Vegas, you better hope they don't let him in, because he's gonna embarrass you. And then they gonna all of a sudden it's gonna be like, do we let a 42-year-old play wide receiver? Do we do that? It's gonna be a question. I'm telling you. So get your life together. But Devin, do you want to pop up on the screen? What you got? Have you been thinking about how you're gonna or I'll do the beatbox, you do the song. Are you okay? You ready?
Wait, shoot. Okay, yeah. What's the
Because usually I say now it's time for Britt's takes, and then Chris does the beatbox. I'll do the beat. I don't want to put you in the beatbox unless you want to beatbox. You gonna beatbox?
No. I'll do the singing, girl. I got these vocals.
Okay. Oh, yes, you do, girl. Make sure you do the finger, though. Okay, so whenever you're ready.
Now it's time for Britt's
takes. Yeah.
Britt's takes.
Okay, now I do miss Chris. I miss you, Chris.
We failed, Devin. We failed.
All right, guys. It's time for Britt's takes. We are talking about another poll. I know we talked about a list during Jackie's segment. We are talking about a poll that was conducted with 50 NFL personnel. ESPN conducted this, so take it with a grain of salt. But I got kind of upset because it is a top 10 quarterbacks going into this 2020-2021 NFL season. I will read the list for you really quick. Patrick Mahomes at number 1, Russell Wilson at 2, Aaron Rodgers at 3, Deshaun Watson at 4, Drew Brees at 5, and number 6, Lamar Jackson. Yes, the guy that won NFL MVP unanimously, might I add, Lamar Jackson at number 6. So I got some problems with that. I don't even need to read the rest of the list, but I mean, on it, my guy Dak is at 9, I think. Matthew Stafford's at whatever. I don't care. I stopped at 6 because 6 is where I have the problem at. Now, people like to argue that it's because Lamar Jackson doesn't throw deep passes. We all know his favorite guys on his team are his tight ends. We get that, whatever. But the man ran for 1,200 yards this past season.
Right.
So if you want to put him on the list of 6, that's where he fits 6, because he was actually the 6th leading rusher in the NFL. So 5 running backs before him, and then him at number 6 for leading rushers in the NFL with 1,200 yards. That's kind of crazy. He broke several records when it comes to quarterbacks rushing in a season last year. Yes, I do know what happened in the AFC divisional round when he played against the Tennessee Titans. Mind you, the Tennessee Titans came on and kind of swept everybody under the rug. They kind of came through in the playoffs. But he was sacked 4 times. He did have 2 picks. I get that. But that little moment that he had in one game does not determine him going into this 2020 season, period. Number 6 over, I love Deshaun Watson. I love the guy, but he's not a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, period. Lamar Jackson, you guys want to think he's a scrub and say all this kind of crap, but he still had a QBR of 113.3 this past season. And the funny thing about you guys saying that he is not a good passer, well, he actually, besides his other records that he got for rushing as a quarterback, he also also tied for NFL history for the most perfect passer rating in a season this past season. He tied with Big Ben. So he's had the most perfect passer ratings in a season of any NFL quarterback in history. So maybe he's not as bad at passing as you guys think he is. But it pissed me off so much to see this list. I also want to point out too, because in 2019, not only did he have that rating and several of the rushing ratings, but he actually I looked back, I went through a bunch of stuff. He had the greatest statistical seasons a quarterback has ever had in NFL history. And guess how old Lamar Jackson was last season? He was 22. He was in his second season in the NFL, 22 years old. Let me tell you what the third person on that list was Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, what was he doing at 22? Oh, yeah, he was riding the bench. He didn't even play in the game at that time yet. People forget old quarterbacks used to sit out a while. You know, they wouldn't even start. They're like 25, 26 years old. Lamar Jackson is 22 years old, and he was NFL MVP as a quarterback. Like, this is something that we don't see. Like, even as great as Drew Brees is, Drew Brees sat behind Doug Flutie his rookie year. Second year, he did start, but it was over Doug Flutie. So, like, it wasn't like he was great. And he was actually so bad that a couple years later, the team, which he was on the Chargers at the time, decided to use their first pick to get Phillip Rivers. So, like, Drew Brees wasn't that guy the first quarter of his career. Like, Lamar Jackson is already putting up these numbers and already doing these things. And yes, he's not seasoned in the postseason yet because he's 22. He just turned 23 literally at the beginning of the year, so he'll be playing this season as 23. Even Patrick Mahomes is going to be 26 years old this season. So he is young for a quarterback, even Patrick Mahomes, but he's not as young as Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is putting up numbers and doing things that you would not even think of. And then Aaron Rodgers, I think Aaron Rodgers was put on the list. And unfortunately, I think Drew Brees is put on the list above him for the nostalgic, because we've seen what they've done both in postseason. Yes, Aaron Rodgers took his team to the NFC Championship this last season, but Aaron Rodgers is still a great quarterback. I'm not dissing him. I'm not dissing Drew Brees or anything, but for the future of football and marking your players, I just think it was just so disrespectful to put Lamar Jackson at number 6. Like, I just can't even deal. I don't know what this man has to do to get some respect put on his name, because people are going to play him. Like, literally every single team that played him said that he, at 6'2", it's not like he's a big old man like Cam Newton is. He is 6'2", still tall for normal people, but that's not that tall for a quarterback. He's 6'2", and he's literally the scariest thing they went against last season, because he knows how to do multiple things. That's the new era of being a quarterback. Russell Wilson does the same thing. Freaking Patrick Mahomes can do the same thing if he needs to. Like, I just don't understand how we are disrespecting Lamar Jackson at this point in time. One of the AFC executives actually came out, which I guess this guy wasn't one of the guys that was in this 50-person poll, but he came out and said, waking up, Lamar Jackson is 99% better athlete than anybody else in the league. So, like, I don't understand how he's disrespected. I'm pissed off about this. I think he needs more credit. I think I personally have him as my number 2. Yes, I have Patrick Mahomes above him, but I put Lamar Jackson over Russell Wilson right now, which is, I think, still a good debate. I wouldn't be mad if somebody picked Russ over him, but I definitely have Lamar Jackson over Aaron Rodgers. If I have to create a team right now and I have to pick my quarterback, I'm taking Lamar Jackson over Aaron Rodgers, and I'm taking him over Deshaun Watson as well. So, like, I want to know what the problem is here, because even Deshaun Watson, I don't think is going to be that great this season because remember, guys, DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be there anymore. So I don't think Deshaun Watson's even going to be as good as this past season. My question for you, Jackie, is what's your list order here? Do you think Lamar Jackson was appropriately put at number 6, or do you think people were hating on him?
Yeah, I think they were definitely hating on him. I actually flipped my list because I was thinking about it while you were doing the story, and I'm like, all right, so for me it would be Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and then Lamar Jackson. Just because I think, I love Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong. Russell Wilson to me is a little bit more seasoned. But then when you think about your point, like he's 22, you know what I mean, and he's going out there and he's doing the things that he's doing. But here's a funny little tidbit. I actually love that they put him at number 6 because I think Lamar Jackson is sitting somewhere right now looking at this list and he's going, oh, number 6. Okay, I got you. And y'all done stirred up something in this man. And now next season, he's going to be like, okay, we put you at number 6 because he's going to go out there and wreck shop. I also think that Patrick Mahomes is not going to be the Patrick Mahomes that we saw last season. He can be because he's not losing any of his weapons, but I think we've seen it. People get these big contracts and then all of a sudden stuff just don't fire the way that it's supposed to. So I think by the end of next season, we might see, it might be a Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes list next year. But I mean, yeah. I love it for him personally because people need fire sometimes. And I think this is it for him.
Yeah, and I think he got obviously a little bit of that after his final game in playoffs because people went in on him for not having like a great game. Granted, that Titans defense just like went in on him and sacked him 4 times. So I think that that was part of it. But to your point of Patrick Mahomes, people don't remember this because he ended up coming back like nothing happened. But Patrick Mahomes didn't play a full season this year. He got hurt. And people thought he was going to be out the majority of the season. But do you feel like Patrick Mahomes obviously going on to win the Super Bowl because they weren't a favorite in the AFC? The Ravens were. So to go on and win the Super Bowl, do you think that his injury and that break that he took where his body wasn't getting beat up week by week actually helped him more to win a Super Bowl versus Lamar Jackson, who played every down this past season?
I mean, that's a tough call because anytime you have an injury, once you come back into the game, sometimes you're gun shy and sometimes you're playing a little bit timid because you are afraid of re-injuring yourself. Patrick Mahomes did not do that at all. Yeah. So I would venture a guess that the rest for him was actually like you're leaning is like a positive. Or maybe he just is that good of getting outside of his head and just getting into the game, in which case this contract isn't going to mean anything. He's going to go out there and still be in beast mode, but you don't really know. But, I mean, anytime you're getting sacked all the time and playing every single down, your body's just going to get beat down. So, it's tough to say because, like I said, the injury could affect your psyche. So I don't know if I want to give that any credit. And obviously Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl, so he's got to be number 1. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this list flips next season and what kind of outcome we're going to have as far as Lamar Jackson goes. But number 6 to me is disrespectful. Top 4 at least, not even top 4, not even top 5, top 4 at least, I
agree. Well, thank you for your opinion on that one. I guess we will see how Lamar Jackson does this season. I will be rooting for you, sir. So, bring it. And I think he is one of those players that is going to he likes being the underdog. He was the underdog going into the NFL as he was the last person picked in the first round or whatever. He was one of the late quarterbacks selected, and look what he's done now. So I think he likes that, and I think that's what he feeds off of. So you might be right, Jackie, on that 6 thing being a big motivator for him. So we are now going to move on to something very, very important. So the Fumble Squad is working to raise money for the Equal Justice Initiative, an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial, like Walter McMillan. Now, this story you might have heard because it was a book. So if you've read the book on this, Just Mercy, or recently watched the movie Just Mercy, which starred Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan. That was released actually in January of this year. If you haven't seen it, it is a great movie. Make sure you check that out. But let me tell you a little bit about Walter if you haven't heard of the story. So Walter McMillan was sentenced to life for the murder of an 18-year-old white woman named Rhonda Morrison back in 1986. McMillan was held on death row prior to even being convicted and sentenced to death. His trial lasted only a day. There were 3 witnesses that testified against Mr. McMillan, but the jury ignored multiple Black witnesses who could attest to his alibi, which was that he was at a church fish fry during the time of the crime being committed. The judge overturned the jury's decision, which they suggested him having life in prison, and actually sentenced McMillan to the death penalty. After EJI overtook this case, their lawyer, Brian Stevenson, was able to show state's witnesses live and with an overwhelming amount of evidence proving McMillan's innocence. He was able to be released from death row in March of 1993, officially becoming a free man. So this actually was not an easy task. They had 6 years of appeals and they had death threats, but thanks to the work of the Equal Justice Initiative, Walter McMillan became among the first exonerees from death row during the modern era. If you want to be a part of the movement, there is a donation link below and you can send donations directly to the fund. I see we have over almost $600 now, so that is awesome. Thank you guys all for those donations. Anything really helps. $5, $10, whatever you can donate really helps. We're so glad to be able to share our platform to help with this, and thank you guys so much for your donations. If you guys want to learn more about the Equal Justice Initiative, make sure you check out their website at eji.org. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Britt. Such a great story. And again, you guys, if you want to donate or leave us a super chat, that's all going straight to the Equal Justice Initiative. And we're going to be doing this for the next couple of weeks. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to get involved and show your support. All right. Well, that wraps up the show. Ladies, I think we really did hold down the fort. I love it. But we're going to be back again tomorrow. I believe it is going to be another Lady Gang show. So no Chris, but wash your hands. Wear a mask, please. Listen to Steph Curry. He was onto something there. Subscribe, tap, comment below, share this video, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hey, guys.
Ooh, yeah.